Hi, I'm Bob Dixon. Welcome to the Leader's Edge Hot Takes edition of the Five Eagles Insight Podcast. For over 3 decades, I served in the military as an engineer and as a strategist, and I learned a few things about leadership. We know that it goes beyond theory. It's about real-world application. So in this series, sponsored by Five Eagles Leadership, we feature industry leaders and share their leadership journeys with you. My mission's simple. It's to help you become the best leader you can be. Now, if that sounds like something you're interested in, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. If you'd like to be considered as a guest in upcoming episodes, please go to 5eaglesleadership.com/interview and apply today. Now, let's get started. Hi, and welcome to the Leader's Edge podcast. I'm here with Corey Morris from Kansas City, and he's got a great company called Voltage. Thanks for coming on the show, Corey.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Hey, could you take about 90 seconds, give us a great overview of what you do and how you got here?
Yeah, so Voltage is a digital marketing agency. We focus on search marketing, both SEO and paid search for clients across North America, as well as building optimized and ROI generating websites. I've worked my way up through different marketing agencies here in the Kansas City area, and ultimately got to a point where a longer story, definitely, but got to a point where I went through a succession plan and bought out one of the original co-founders of Voltage a few years ago, and focused on thought leadership and our growth and building the best team we can.
Awesome. Awesome. There's such competition in that space, I think. In fact, some of my clients struggle with their online presence, and they're like, okay, so what do we need to do next? I was like, well, look, I'm not a marketing expert, but I know that if you can't spell SEO, you're probably in trouble. So there's a lot to be done there. In your opinion, what's the biggest problem that you see in your industry?
Yeah, well, there's a consistent one that's been there since the beginning is confusion and who to trust and where you're getting the right information. And even if you have the right information and do all the best practices and all the things that Google and others say you should do, you still can be disappointed down the road of investing a lot of time and or money and not seeing the ROI that you expect in absence of a strategy. So having a strategic approach, being able to harness all the changes and the constant of change in the industry, and AI has accelerated that even more. But that's really one of the biggest things I see. I mean, I see probably 7 different problems, but they all come back to not really having strategy as the key and the goals defined before you get into tactics and get lost in that world.
So how do you help your clients develop a strategy then?
Yeah, actually, I mentioned thought leadership being a big focus of what I do, and I love having the opportunity to do interviews like this to get free information out there to people without being sold something, because everybody has a pitch, everybody has a process. In fact, I have one as well. So, but I give it away freely or for $20 or $10 for the Kindle version in my new book called The Digital Marketing Success Plan. And so I unpack and try to organize a lot of confusing things into as simple but robust process as possible with an acronym called START, with a planning process, 5-step planning process there. But whether it's my process or any other process, as I mentioned a minute ago, making sure that all the stakeholders, if you're a one person, entrepreneur, business owner, you're wearing all these hats, but you have to be able to lock in and set your direction, or 500 company and you have a lot of stakeholders, making sure that you're on the same page and can articulate the strategy, which includes the goal in a 2 or 3 sentences of who you're targeting, how you serve them, what makes you different, ROI is, what that ultimate goal is, before you start giving any dollar. External agencies like mine to search platforms like Google or Facebook or LinkedIn or anyone else who will take your money, whether it's working for you or not.
That is for sure. Speaking as somebody who
And they will
dabbled
push you
in
to spend
online
more
marketing
money
and
and say that
Facebook
the answer
ads,
is
you
you're not
can
spending
spend a lot of
enough,
money for
or
a
that you're
lot of
limited by
nothing
budget, or
if you don't.
confuse you with a bunch of automated messages that you should add these audiences. Again, not caring about your own ROI or knowing where those leads go, or beyond, a form submission. There definitely is.
Yeah, there may be a reason they're $1 billion company.
Yeah, so we like to
That's
get
all
deep
right.
into
So tell
businesses.
me
We
who your
like to
ideal
actually
client
go,
is then.
and
Who
I
do you
learned
like
this
to
the hard
work
way.
with?
So I'm not sitting on a high horse here saying, we're perfect or we have it figured out. But our ideal client is someone who wants quality versus quantity, and so that could be lead generation. It could be e-commerce. We have some well-known e-commerce brands too that we work with, but really we want to match business problems all the way, up with marketing metrics and digital, and before we get down to SEO. If I'm reporting on, okay, your conversion rate went up 2%, from organic search traffic, does that matter to an owner or a CEO or an executive somewhere? If it's not connected all the way through to what the business outcome and goal is, because we want to get so deep, and we sometimes surprise marketing leaders or CMOs with the questions we ask them and how deep those are on the business side. Um, and hopefully it's refreshing. Sometimes it catches them off guard, or based on how integrated their organization is, might be information they don't even have. But we want to go deep because we want to have a long-term, meaningful relationship. So if you want 100 leads and you want them like this month, we're probably not the fit there, because it's we don't see it as a quick gimmick, turn on, turn off, or high risk situation. We try to mitigate risk. We're willing to take risks, right, with entrepreneurs and with business owners to help them reach growth goals. But we want to understand what the risk is we're taking and the investment, and then looking at marketing as an investment with the expectation of return on investment. So some of the case studies and successes and experience we have, we look at kind of like a prospectus that your financial advisor is going to give you, showing, still with the, disclaimers of past results don't indicate that you'll have future, promises of results. But at the same time, you should expect a return on investment and not a vendor or expense that you just turn on and off, hoping it works.
Yeah, it's. I think to those of us that are not marketing experts, particularly in digital marketing, we're impatient. We're tremendously impatient, and I know I now have a marketing team for a reason, because I found out that if you're in the coaching business, you're in the marketing business. And then I also realized that I don't love that. It's not my superpower, and I'm really not that good at it because I don't love it. So when I stepped across the threshold of it's who, not how, I got to quit figuring out how to market my company, but who can market my company. And I partnered with a very smart lady that helps me every week. We sit down and she says, okay, here's what you're doing wrong, here's what you're doing right, and here's what we're going to do more of. And it's fantastic.
I agree.
So I think we get it really impatient
Yeah, yeah.
as
Since the
clients. Have
beginning
you
of my
experienced that
career, which is
with
coming up on
clients? That
20 years, I mean,
gosh,
that's
come on,
been
I've
the
been working with you
challenge
for
all
3 weeks. How
along.
come I
But
don't
I
have six
see
new
it now
clients?
at even with corporations, big corporations that historically have moved slow. Even some of them having less patience. Some of that has to do with a little bit of upheaval in the job market and people moving around, and some economic factors maybe blending in there too. But patience is often a symptom of lack of, if I'm on the agency side or consultant side, lack of education on the front end before you even invest. Um, and so if I'm not properly making sure that we match up with how much you want to know or need to know, and having an honest conversation about that, and if it didn't start at the top with your business objectives and then flow down to expectation setting, then we're going to be off on the wrong foot immediately. Because the worst thing is to just be doing a ton of activity and taking your time and putting it into marketing activities without seeing that return or knowing what it is, and putting into almost into a black box and hoping that it's going to come back and and be a 10x investment.
Yeah. It, to me, I think there's a real struggle in that patience thing
Yeah.
because your
Well,
competitors are saying, "Hey, we can get you, you know, 20 leads in the next 2 weeks." So that's how they're selling it. And you're saying what I'm hearing you say, Corey, is
yeah,
there's an
and it
education thing up
doesn't
front. I
need to
need
take, I
to tell
mean,
my
my
client
initial
not only are
process
we
is
going to
anywhere
help you
from
grow
30
this
to
thing, but
90
it's going
days,
to
but
take
you would
some
rather
time.
spend maybe what you're spending monthly just on those first few months to slow down and let's know everything we can know and have this planned out so we're not distracted later or we spend a lot of money to find out to assume it didn't work when maybe we didn't target properly or we were just doing the quote unquote best practices but not taking that strategic approach. And so that's a challenge. I just had a conversation yesterday with a
Right.
large architectural firm, and um, without getting into too many details to disclose here, they're working with an agency now and feel like it's kind of tactical and not strategy driven. And what's interesting about it is that what you just said is a lot of companies will, and I had to learn this the hard way. Somebody says, I want Google ads. And I'm like, and put a bag of money on the table. Here's my budget. I do Google ads. I'm a Google partner agency. It's exciting to jump into that, but it's like, hey, time out. Even though I do them, is that the right channel? Is that going to give you the most return? How do all these channels work together? What is the customer journey? What is the thought leadership platform? Do we have the fuel?
Right.
Content is the fuel for it, for all those channels. Do we have the right setup and infrastructure to actually make this work? Or are we just going to go chase what we think is bottom of the funnel and leads that we can get today that 3 months in, we might drive those leads, but then they don't qualify. And then we're fighting and arguing over that and working backwards, wishing we had started from the top down to get that right. And so that's what I am selling against is I'm trying to sell we have the ability to kind of know as much as we can and to say time out, are these the right tactics, even in that mix, rather than being prescriptive in before I even know you. Yeah,
I love
yeah,
that.
whether it's going to your
Take
doctor
time
or whether
to
it's going to
figure
your
out what
financial
the
advisor,
symptoms
it's
are
like we're
actually
talking about,
pointing to
financial advisor is
before
going
we
to look
start
at
giving
a
you a
lot of,
cure.
hopefully, a lot of your life factors, stage, what your income is, and everything else, and not just saying you're going to plug into this plan and we're going to take your money and just don't ask me anything for 5 years. Now, I need that after the initial consult, right? And my annual reviews with my financial advisor, I need to be out of it, but that's the expectation setting of I know the comfort level in being hands off and not impatient, um, but that's trust that was built in that initial phase.
Right. Yeah, the impatience I think comes from we have this quick gratification culture that if I push this button I get this pellet, right? If I get this amount of money on
Yeah,
the ads I get this many clients, and that's not what you get. Leads, they may not be qualified leads, but they're going to be leads. So I could promise you I could put 20
yeah,
people in
and
your
there's
calendar in the
there's
next
a
14
lot
days,
to
but they need to
there's a lot of
most likely those are
misinformation
going
out
to be
there, right?
useless
There's a lot of
conversations,
egos. There are a lot of
wasted
people who
time
say,
and
I'll
money.
drive those leads, or I I'm getting competitors who are saying I'm getting these leads. Okay, well there are very few magical things that happen without other factors outside of just that detailed marketing channel. I mentioned earlier the content, the thought leadership, the subject matter expertise, the trust. All of those things go into it. I wrote an article not too long ago that that SEO is more than just SEO. It requires all these other things. It's not just somebody with an SEO title or wearing that one hat. If you don't have a strong brand or brand strategy or product or service and customer service and abilities, then yeah, even if we're driving perfect leads, that falls apart too
Yes.
because you maybe weren't ready to give them the experience that they deserve or that you're promising, as well.
Amazing. The industry's changing. It's changed over the last 5 years. It's going to change again over the next 5 years. You're in the industry
Yeah, I
and
am.
have this
I,
broad
I
look
started
about
getting
it.
asked this question a
Uh,
lot by
what do you
colleagues
think
who
is
own
going to happen in the
agencies
next
who
five
are in
years
different
in
areas
digital
like
marketing?
branding or PR and things like that. Got asked this right when ChatGPT emerged, and they're like, "Huh, you've really niched down and gone heavier into search and web. Like, that's interesting because will search even exist? Google, will Google be able to, will we be optimizing anything anymore, or will AI have taken over?" My answer then and still now is there will be, companies, everything from B2B, B2C, entrepreneurs, nonprofits who are out there focused on their mission and their vision and values and making that come to life, who still want to be found by their target audience. And so, in fact, that was actually a working title for a while for my process and my book, but it was too philosophical and not helpful enough to get past. But that's it. Whether we're optimizing for AI, which we're starting to, and thankfully some of the signals for SEO and AI results are what's old is new in some ways, as Google pulled back some things after a rocky launch. But I'm not taking my focus off of where they're eventually going. It's not going. It's not going to get rolled back. We're going there. But whether if holographic ads roll out tomorrow, being ready for that and being positioned for that, and having someone who's staying up on that, whether that's in your organization or a trusted partner, to guide you through that. If you're not that person sitting in that seat because you're running your business, you're running your practice, having that partner who's up to date on it, with balance. There's the we can chase the shiny objects all day long, but if we don't stay focused enough on the things that work today, we're gonna not get the ROI we want and waste a lot of money. But if we're burying our head in the sand and ignoring what's coming, we have risk on that side of it as well. So finding balance where you're not over investing in unproven technology and
Right.
things that won't get you ROI today, but at the same time not ignoring them and being left behind. So that's the challenge, is the balance, because things get rolled out, they get rolled back, they change. AI overviews took up a big space, and then they quietly got rolled back after Google was telling people to put glue on pizza and things like that. And then so that quietly happened, and then they emerged. OpenAI, I think, learned from Google's rocky rollout, so they're very, very slowly rolling out GPT. And everyone like Facebook and LinkedIn are scrambling to say they have AI and plug it into things as well. So understanding where those tools are, where to leverage them, and not get distracted by them at the same time is the absolute key for all of us. Whether I live in the space every day, or you're focused on marketing for your business and not putting all your eggs in one basket.
Awesome. Awesome. I tend to agree with you. Being open to new
Yeah, there's no
technologies
reason to
without being
have 100
enamored by them to
subscriptions
the
for
point where
50
you lose
bucks a
your
month in
mind
things
is
that
probably the right
have a
space
lot of
to be
promise,
in.
but aren't delivering today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So as a leader, you're leading your organization. I think, I'm a leadership development coach. I'm an executive coach, and I get to work with a lot of different kinds of people in a lot of different industries. And what I found, and I think you probably know this to be true, Corey, is that most of us learn more from our failures than we do from our successes. Sure, at the end of a success, we're like, okay, what did I learn from that? Yeah, keep doing that. But the lessons that really stick are the ones that we got a little scuff marks on us from.
Yeah,
So
I had a chance to go
if you
through a
would, you
succession
want to
plan and go
share
from employee to
something that
owner
you've learned the
of the
hard way.
agency, and I learned the hard way. Even though I was president and doing managing the day to day up to the point where I became owner, I went through a lot of challenges early on with quick enough and decisive enough decision making. People would bring a problem or bring a situation from my team in, and I would almost get myself into my own, paralysis of making that decision, or I'd want to overthink it. I'm a deep thinker, a strategy focused thinker, and so I'd put it on a to do list, and then because it wasn't as defined as some of the tasks on my to do list or easy, it would always get pushed off. 3 weeks go by, right, and I haven't made a decision. I'm holding up people, and so I learned that assuming I'm not making 20 decisions a day. But if there's 3 decisions to make in a day, it's better. I can roll back one bad decision tomorrow rather than to not make that decision for 3 or 4 weeks. And there's risk, and fully understanding the risk of not taking an action, and understanding that, versus taking the wrong action because there's so much optimization involved. So that's a big part of it. I also got a little bit better at just making, categorizing decisions as well. So the decision where I'm going to make it no input required, it's just, my decision versus, hey, I'm making this decision, team, but I want your input. Or it's a team decision, right? Those 3 categories of how decisions are made. So those frameworks helped me, and that understanding really helped me after really for several months dragging my feet and not realizing the harm I was doing by being indecisive or just punting things down the road.
That's a great set of lessons right there. Decisiveness as the leader, knowing which decisions are yours and which ones can be delegated, knowing the cost of not making a timely decision, and understanding the difference between like a consultative decision versus a consensus decision. In the consensus decision making, everybody gets a vote, and
One that
usually that
nobody's
is
happy
a generally watered down and risk
Yeah.
averse solution. Is what happens. Is like when a committee tries to solve something, everybody walks away disappointed. But the consultative one, you're going to make the best informed decision unemotionally and in the best interest of your organization. Great. And I've got all the information I can possibly get from the smartest people I've got. That's a great way to make it. I list 8 rules of decision making in my book on Leadership Insight that talks about those very
Yeah, so
specific
we
things,
have
and you naturally
actually,
learn those all on your own.
quality and long-term
What's the next
relationships
area of
and
growth
depth
for
of
your company?
relationships matters, as I mentioned earlier. So for us, we've actually narrowed. We stopped doing certain services. We niched down last year into just search and web, and stopped doing branding, stopped doing as much social and email and other channels to just do the best ones. So we cut off some services. We got a little bit smaller. So now we're scaling up with less clients but deeper relationships. So for us, it's to grow on that path with the right fit clients that we can establish the next decade of success and dominance with in their marketplaces. And so that's big for us. We went from maybe 80 something clients to 30 something, and they're all right in our wheelhouse, and being able to grow them is our key focus and where we're going.
Awesome. Awesome. I love the path that you're on, and the focus that you have. It's easy to become okay or good at many, many different things, but to become truly great at something, you got to neck it down, and you've done that. You found your space. And I agree with you 100% on deep
Absolutely.
relationships over time are going to be much more fruitful than the transactional relationships
Yeah,
you get
so
when
the
you're
agency
abroad.
itself is
Love it. I love your model,
voltage.digital.
Corey.
Check it out. Find us
What's the
there.
best way for people to
If you
contact
would
you?
be interested in any speaking, coaching, interviews, CoreyMorris.com. And for the new book that just came out in July, and for the framework and free resources there, it's called the Digital Marketing Success Plan. That is a really long URL, so I've shortened it to the DMSP.com.
Awesome. Awesome. Our guest today has been Corey Morris from Kansas City. He's with Voltage and the author of Digital
Search and
Marketing
web.
Success
Yeah.
Plan. If you need help with your search and tell me
Thanks,
again,
Bob. I
search
appreciate
and
it.
web, search and web, then this is the guy you want to talk to. Thanks so much for being on the show, Corey.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the Leader's Edge Hot Take Series. I hope you found today's insight meaningful, valuable, and that you're ready to put them into action. Now, if you enjoyed the episode and want to keep improving your leaderships, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes. I post new content every week, packed with strategies, tips, and real-life examples to help you lead with impact. Now remember, great leadership isn't just about guiding others, it's it's about continuously growing yourself. If you'd like to be considered as a guest for upcoming episodes, please go to 5eaglesleadership.com/interview to apply today. Keep pushing, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next episode. Be awesome.